The sun was sinking behind the pines when Jack Harlan first saw the sign. Nailed to a tree at the edge of his property, it read, "Notice of Regulatory Oversight. Subject to civic review." No name, no seal, just a laminated sheet with a logo, 3 hills, and a starburst. Jack ripped it down, tossed it into his truck, and drove back to his cabin. He'd seen this kind of thing before, petty power plays from the gated community over the ridge, Pinecrest Estates. But this time, they'd picked the wrong man to push. Jack wasn't a loud man, nor was he quick to anger. Life had taught him patience, carved it into him through a messy business fallout and a divorce that left more quiet than pain. 2 years ago, he'd sold his house in Denver, packed up his woodworking tools, and bought 3 acres in Willow Creek County, a forgotten patch of forest with a sagging cabin and a spring-fed stream. To most, it was a wreck. No septic, no internet, and a roof that leaked in heavy rain. To Jack, it was freedom. His land sat just outside Pinecrest jurisdiction, a fact confirmed by the county when he signed the deed. That independence was why he chose it. Pinecrest was everything Jack had left behind. Uniform houses, manicured lawns, and a civic council that acted like a private government. They controlled 6 miles of asphalt cul-de-sacs with names like Magnolia Circle, flowers no one in Colorado had ever seen. The council claimed to protect community values, but Jack saw them for what they were, a machine with money and leverage, hungry for more land. At first, Jack kept himself. He rebuilt the cabin, graded the driveway, and set up a small workshop with a lathe and a kiln. He took local orders, barn doors, window frames, a carved mantel for a bed and breakfast. He paid his taxes, bought from nearby suppliers, and stayed out of trouble. But trouble found him. It started small. The gravel road to his cabin wasn't cleared after an October snow, though it was under county maintenance. His propane deliveries missed 3 windows. The supplier cited administrative uncertainty. His mailbox vanished, and the post office claimed a regional adjustment. Jack didn't panic. He documented every incident, saved notices, logged calls, and kept working. He figured someone would realize their mistake and back off. Then came the night that changed everything. 3 SUVs rolled up just past the trailhead, their high beams cutting through the frost. Jack was sanding a cherrywood plank in his shed when the light swept across his workbench. He stepped outside, boots crunching, and saw them. 3 vehicles, no markings, and 2 men in Navy uniforms with tactical vests and badges. One held a clipboard. The other approached. "We're responding to a complaint," the man said, voice flat. "Unpermitted chemical disposal." Jack almost laughed. His waist was sawdust and cedar shavings. He asked for a warrant. They offered none. He demanded badge numbers and a dispatch code. The clipboard man recited a string of numbers that meant nothing. Jack pressed for their agency's name. Silence. "This is for your safety," they said, then retreated to their cars and drove off, taillights fading into the fog. Jack didn't sleep that night. Not from fear, but from calculation. This wasn't random. It was coordinated, a bluff meant to unsettle him. He poured a glass of whiskey, grabbed a legal pad, and started writing. 2 days later, he found concrete barriers blocking the county road to his cabin. Not broken, not haphazard, but neat highway medians, reflective tape gleaming. No signs, no detours. Jack called the county. After 3 hold loops, a clerk said the road was under limited municipal access for a safety review. She paused when he gave his parcel number. "That section was reclassified last week," she said. "Civic maintenance. Community management advisory." Jack knew who was behind it. Pinecrest. He hung up, drove the long way home through a fire trail, and called his lawyer, Sarah Coleman. He also contacted the Colorado Office of Property Rights and a retired title clerk to dig into his land records. Sarah uncovered a petition from Pinecrest Civic Council requesting emergency oversight of nearby properties. Jack's parcel was listed, buried in vague footnotes. Worse, his cabin was flagged for unverified mechanical modifications, despite his approved solar panels and water tank. Then came the letter, left under a rock on his porch. "You are advised to vacate within 21 days. Continued occupation may lead to safety enforcement." No signature, just the Three Hill logo. Jack stood in the snow, wind howling, and made his choice. This was war. The pressure tightened. Propane stopped coming. His landline went dead. 2 men trespassed, one in a jacket with the Pine Crest logo, planting a sign. Access route surveyed for public utility development. Jack photographed it, pulled it up, and sent the evidence to Sarah. His gate was unlatched, insulation boxes rifled through, a trail cam stolen. He upgraded his security, motion lights, new locks, a battery-powered alarm, and filed a report with the sheriff, who called it a civil matter. Sarah's private investigator, a man named Tucker, confirmed Pinecrest was using subcontractors through a shell company tied to a developer in Centennial. Jack's land was the missing piece for a fiber optic and waterline corridor. His creek was marked for irrigation. They didn't want his cabin. They wanted him gone. At dawn, 3 men in gray jackets arrived, taking photos just outside his fence. Jack watched from the porch, shotgun slung but untouched. One saluted mockingly as they left. That night, his power flickered. At 3:15 a.m., his alarm screamed. 2 figures were at his generator, cutting the lock with a torch. Jack snapped photos, time-stamped and geotagged. The damage was deliberate, a setup for a safety violation. Pinecrest filed for temporary seizure, claiming Jack's unsecured systems were a public hazard. Sarah countered with an injunction. At the courthouse, she laid out the evidence: trespass, tampering, fake complaints. The judge asked Pinecrest's lawyer, "Did you have authority to enter his land?" The lawyer fumbled. "No, Your Honor." The injunction was granted. Pinecrest's actions were frozen, but they didn't stop. A woman in a trench coat arrived, flanked by 2 silent men, demanding Jack vacate voluntarily. He showed her the torch marks and his photos. "I have them on tape," he said. "Push this, and I'll subpoena every contractor you've got." Her smile faded. She left. The final hearing came in January. Sarah played the footage, voices clear, timestamps undeniable. The judge called Pinecrest's actions coercive and systematic. He denied their seizure, nullified their claims, and froze their assets, land, equipment, offices for a fraud investigation. Pinecrest's office shut down. Their contractor went quiet. The pressure lifted. Jack returned to his cabin. He removed the extra lights, patched the generator, and bolted a steel plate to his gate with only coordinates etched on it. The land was his, not just by law, but by endurance. Sarah asked if he'd testify later. "Not yet," he said. For now, he'd stand where he always had. The forest was quiet again, the kind of quiet that felt earned. Jack stepped barefoot onto the thawing ground, the weight of the fight behind him. He'd won, not with fists, but with proof and patience. Pinecrest had underestimated him, and they'd paid for it. What do you think? Should Jack have fought harder, maybe with more than just the law? Or was his restraint the real victory? Share your thoughts in the comments, especially on how you'd handle injustice or bullying in your own life. Let's hear your stand.